Hey guys, Game Off here. Welcome to the second installment in our mini-series, Desert Island. Today we're going to focus on the year 1986, the year Wes was born. Wow, you're old.
I might be old, but I'm not too old to know that the best thing to take with you to a desert island is a coconut. So we're bringing Coconut Migration. It's a coconut pale ale by Singlespeed Brewing in collaboration with Pulpit Rock Brewing Company. We have very high expectations for this beer.
Yes, so if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and ring that bell icon so you never miss an upload, and sit back, relax, pour yourself a coconut beer if you care to, and let's travel back to 1986.
Want to know about beer, wrestling games, or gaming? You've got to check out Gaming Off the Grid.
Alright, here we go. Desert Island 1986. I just want to say real quick before we start, I'm so glad we're not sitting in ice.
Yeah, this the first episode was kind of an anomaly. It was an ice bath challenge and the debut of this mini-series. But you know what? We're short on time and we had to cram everything together into one episode. So this is going to be the typical format you're going to see in the Desert Island series. 1986.
Yes, what an incredible year, man. I have so many amazing memories from this year. Oh wait, just kidding, I wasn't born yet.
Yeah, you were 8 years in the making at this point.
I don't even think my parents knew each other at this point.
Yeah.
That's how young I am, so cheers to that.
Yeah, so 1986, we're going to start off with the album of the year.
Yes.
And music is a big part of our lives. We've said it over and over again. We are both huge music connoisseurs, fans. Basically, there's music playing in our lives 24/7.
Oh, always. I can't survive in silence.
Yeah.
I have to have music playing all the time. And 1986 had so many incredible albums, Metallica, Genesis. There were so many incredible bands during this era. But the album I'm going to go with this year is the debut album for this band, and that is Licensed to Ill by the Beastie Boys. What?
Yeah.
Such a good album. There's so many iconic songs on this album, Fight for Your Right, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, Brass Monkey, just to name a few, man. This album is so sweet.
Yeah, Brass Monkey, the Funky Monkey. It's such a great choice. It wasn't even on my radar, and now that you bring it up, I'm like, man, that really was a groundbreaking album. For me, there were two bands that I was honed in on in 1986. This is the year I was born, so this was obviously not what I was listening to at the time.
In later days.
Yes, in later days. And two bands that have had a huge impact on my life are Camper Van Beethoven and Sonic Youth. But the Sonic Youth record that came out in 1986, Evil, is such a great album. And you can literally hear in the first track on the album, Tom Violence, Sonic Youth is beginning to happen. And there are so many great records from that year, but that band is so great, and I've always, just as a musician and a songwriter, wanted to have a record that came across so chaotic but also so beautiful as a Sonic Youth album.
The best of both worlds.
Yes. And this album really evokes that, what was the plan? What's happening? There are so many moments. There's a descending bass line towards the end of the album, and I can't remember the track name off the top of my head right now, but just amazing. And this was kind of where that wave started coming to shore for Sonic Youth. And if you're a Sonic Youth fan and haven't checked out this record, you really need to do so. It is fantastic. This album was missed by a lot of people. Daydream Nation was kind of the launch point for a lot of people when it comes to Sonic Youth.
Yeah, that's the album that I know. And I've honestly never heard of this album, so I'm so excited to, after this episode, listen to this album and dive into the roots and listen to a new album from 1986.
You know what, though? You bring up a good point. This early wave alt stuff, I've always felt like Sonic Youth, Camper Van Beethoven, the Pixies, are bands that they're still ahead of their time. I still feel that way, that music and people still don't quite understand. There's a lot of people you'll play a Sonic Youth record for, and they're like, what the fuck's this? And it's just one of those things. There was such an awesome thing happening during that time frame.
Now let's move on to the movie category of Desert Island. So what is your movie from 1986 that you would take with you to a desert island?
All right, I'm going to rock some boats here, but one of my favorite music-infused movies of all time, and I will put it ahead of Purple Rain, which I love, is The Labyrinth.
Ooh, David Bowie at his finest, dude. That movie's incredible.
I freaking love this movie. The Labyrinth takes me back to a bright spot of my childhood, which had a lot of, dark moments in it. But going to Town Talkies in my hometown is a small video store, man.
Wow.
And if you haven't, I can't ever take you there. But it was such an awesome place. And anybody who's watching, who's been there, there's only a select few of you. You know what I'm talking about. Town Talkies. I think it's the best video store that has ever existed. But nonetheless, renting this video with my family, and then later on acquiring it in my VHS collection was a really important thing for me. And to go back and watch it, you always wonder, are things as good as I remember them being?
I think it is.
Dude, I think it is too, and I think it's even almost better. It's such a well-done movie. It just brings back that like Muppets vibe, and then you add the David Bowie mystique to it.
Oh, yes.
And there's just something about this movie that is so goddamn special. I just can't put my finger on it, but I fucking love it.
I have seen this movie, but I didn't discover this movie till probably like 6 years ago. So it's still kind of new to me, but I've seen it a handful of times, and it's so good. That's like such a good choice.
Oh, yeah.
My choice for my 1986 Desert Island film has to be Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Bueller? Bueller.
Bueller.
Oddly enough, we were like surprised we don't have it in our VHS collection here.
And I was shocked. We don't have it? Like,
Yeah,
I was
you
shocked.
have it on DVD, but we don't have it on VHS, which is like, we try getting all of our favorite movies on VHS, and if it doesn't exist on VHS, well then, it's not one of our favorite movies usually. But that movie fits right in the wheelhouse of just kind of who you and I are.
Yes.
I mean, we don't take ourselves too seriously. It's such a funny movie.
The humor is so good. There's certain scenes that will always stay out to me. I love when he's on the float and he's singing Twist and Shout by the Beatles, and it's so badass, and his dad is up in the building watching him dancing to it, but doesn't know it's his son. And then there's a scene at the end, I don't know if it's during the credits or after the credits, where the principal gets on the bus and he's ripped to shreds, covered in mud, and he sits next to this chick, and she's like, "Hey, do you want some gummy bears? They're a little warm. They've been in my pocket all day." And he looks at her, and he's just like, "Oh God, what did I get myself into?"
All right, let's jump into the video games.
The game I would take with me from 1986 to Desert Island is Castlevania on the NES. And you want to know why? It's because I am Simon Belmont.
In Ultimate Smash, he's Simon Belmont. Ultimate Smash.
Castlevania is an incredible game. It started a fantastic series. Konami made such a sweet game. The only gripe I have about this game is the jumping, but that also adds to the charm of the game. That's what makes it Castlevania. It's just so difficult. It's so badass, and I love this game, so it fit perfect in my Desert Island suitcase.
Yeah, I have a lot of fond memories playing that game with my cousin, who I actually call my sister, and we had a ton of fun playing Castlevania, but I just couldn't pick it because the game I have to pick is The Legend of Zelda. I love this game. It may be controversial for me to say this, but I believe it is hands down the best Zelda game ever made. I love this game. It was one of the first semi-open world games that I'd ever played. I could wander around and do whatever the hell I wanted, and it was also very difficult. I remember the forest where you have to go a certain amount of bushes in, and then you have to go up so many, over so many. Not until I got my Nintendo guide, I was not able to beat that part,
And it's one of those games where, as a kid, you laid on the floor with your guide,
Yes.
looking, and you have the TV right in front of you.
There's a fistful of games on the NES that I play every single year, no matter what. Punch-Out, that game, Mario 3, Super Mario Brothers, the original, and Gradius. Those are games I grew up with that are just staples in my life that I gotta keep my chops up on. And I play Zelda every year. And it's man, how the hell did I beat this when I was a kid?
It's hard as-
it blows my mind.
it's
I'm
hard
really
as
good at
crap.
it now, and I can get through it in a decent amount of time. But it's just one of my favorite video games that's ever been made. And I think the formula that was laid for everything else that happened after was all brought to fruition right there.
Started here.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. We both picked pilot games, if
Yeah.
I say so.
No, yeah, that's
these
awesome.
are games that started gigantic series.
Yeah.
Castlevania is huge.
Yep.
Legend of Zelda, there's a game on the freaking Nintendo Switch / Wii U.
Yep.
That's the new Zelda game. That's badass.
Yeah.
So it all started on the NES in 1986. Let's talk about the beer.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a story to go with this beer. So there's this brewery in a small town in Iowa called Waterloo. I spent some time living there, and I crossed paths with a young man who was a snot-nosed 16-year-old who didn't really know a whole lot about anything. And I was a manager at a small grocery store, and we connected. We were buddies, and his name is Austin. And, short story long, the dude, I haven't seen him since he was like 18. I think it was at his graduation party, maybe the last time I seen him. We've texted a few times. He's the head brewer at a brewery called Singlespeed Brewing.
Singlespeed in Waterloo, Cedar Falls.
Yep, and there's been a lot of beers we've tried, but we've really slow played featuring them on the channel because I wanted it to mean something, and he's probably never going to see this episode. But Austin, if you do, freaking proud of you, man. And this is a really unique beer. You're the pale ale guy, so I'll let you kind of go from there.
Yes, I love IPAs, and this is a double IPA with coconut, I do believe.
Yeah.
I don't taste a lot of coconut. That's not a bad thing because coconut is a very offensive flavor to a lot of people. I do enjoy coconut. Like we did the coconut by death.
Yeah.
Or coconut something, and that was really good. I wish there was more coconut, but this is a really good IPA. It's a really good double IPA. Everything I've had from Singlespeed so far is so good, and they're such a small brewery that it's incredible that they just keep making great products after great products after great products, and this is another one that's going to be in my rotation from now on. Singlespeed, you did a fantastic job. That's all I can say.
It's really good, and the coconut thing, it doesn't overtake you. I will say the aftertaste, I can pick it up a little bit. I think it adds to the sweetness of this IPA.
Yes, it kind of makes it not as aggressive and not as attacky like most IPAs are,
Yeah.
which is really sweet.
And I think we're picking it up at a great time of year, spring, summer. This is just a great beer. I believe it's a collaboration beer, and we said that in the intro, with Pulpit Rock, I hope I'm saying that right, Pulpit Rock Brewing Company. So it's a collaboration. It's not going to be around for very long. So if you see this beer out and about, it's one of those things, those limited run, one-off series beers, you got to grab them while you can because once they're gone, they're gone. So you need to check this out. And yeah, I know he's never going to see this, but cheers, Austin. I'm proud of you, man. You're kicking some ass over there at Singlespeed Brewery. Desert Island, 1986. I think we're doing just fine. Mighty fine, Porcupine, if we take these things with us to a desert island.
Yes, and add these things to the already Desert Island suitcase we have from 1994.
Yeah.
Man, I could be set for life with this set of games, movies, and albums, and the games, movies, and albums from 1994.
I'm just going to say right now, we were born in two pretty badass years.
Yes, it's incredible, and I'm so excited to keep this series going because I've been doing my research, and I like a lot of things from a lot of different years. I'm just going to say that now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in the comment section below or on our social medias, hit us up. What year do you want to see next
Ooh,
on the
yes.
Desert Island series? Because you know what? After our birth years, we don't know where to go with this thing. So let us know where you want us to go next with the Desert Island series. And we always appreciate you tuning in and subscribing to the channel. It means the world to us. We'll see you next time, right here on Gaming Off the Grid.
Oh yeah, here we go. Oh God. It's just a hit.
But he's pitching a tent.
Oh yeah, well he's a principal, so
Of course he
is.
Okay, that's called a winner. That's what I call a chicken dinner. Oh, what's that, you ask? Who's my all-time favorite basketball player?